とフレーム不死鳥よ逆まく炎に身を投じ不滅の力を呼び覚ませ超天聖陸使をか誰かれリンクよサラマングレートパイロフェニックス
About 83% of you guys are not subscribed. Subscribing, clicking that like button, and commenting all help me out a lot in doing what I really want to do. Thank you guys so much for all your support. What is going on, guys? Rogue TCG here to bring another Yu-Gi-Oh! TCG deck profile. You guys voted for it last week. I'm answering now. Here is Salamangreat. This deck is really interesting. It's a Fire Cyber's Link Climb strategy that's existed since around 2018-2019. I believe it's around 2019. However, this deck is incredibly strong and consistent, where it likes getting resources out of deck, out of graveyard, out of hand, sending cards from deck to graveyard, etc., in order to just extend even further, using Cyber's Link monsters that are fire in order to keep climbing and get advantage. This deck used to not have to be all fire and not lock you into fire at all, but given new cards, specifically the one that you're seeing on screen right now, Salamangreato Fire, you do get locked into fire. However, your end boards are a lot stronger than they were before, so that's enough yapping for me. Let's go down the profile and let's see what it's all about. Starting off, we are on triple Salamangreat of Fire. If it's normal or special, you can add a level 4 or lower Salamangreat monster from your deck to your hand except for itself, and then you can't special for the rest of the turn except for fires. So this is the most xenophobic fire lock in the entire deck, which pretty much means we have to craft the entire extra deck around this card, meaning we can't really play the transcode, update jam, or access code OTK, unfortunately. However, with our Salamangreat cards, we can definitely get to that OTK position. It also has that effect at the start of the damage step. If a Cyber's monster you control battles, you can banish this card from your graveyard, destroy that monster you control, and you can lose each effect of Salamangreat of Fire once per turn. That's there to synergize with the Sanctuary effect, where you can make its attack 0 and gain life points up to its original attack. So there is that. Next, we are on triple of the old best starter, triple Salamangreat Gazelle. If a Salamangreat monster is sent to your graveyard except for Gazelle, and during the damage step, you can special summon this card from your hand. If this card is normal or special, you could get to dump a Salamangreat card from your deck to your graveyard except for itself. You can use each effect of Gazelle once per turn. This being a level 3 is incredibly strong. Being able to special summon itself and then also doing something when it's summoned is really strong, especially given our Salamangreat cards' effects that are active in the graveyard most of the time to bring themselves out given some way, or we can send our traps or spells in order to add them back with our Sunlight Wolf, given that Gazelle can send any Salamangreat card from deck to graveyard except for itself, not just monster. Next, we're on one Salamangreat Foxy. When it's normal, you can excavate the top 3 cards of your deck, and then there's a Salamangreat card there. You can add it to your hand. Nice stuff. And if it's in your graveyard and a face-up spell or trap is on the field, you can pitch a Salamangreat card, special summon this card from the graveyard, and then you can choose to pop a face-up spell or trap on the field. Best thing is, this all resolves without activating an effect on field, so it can play under Skill Drain and remove it, which is quite nice. You're pretty much always going to have a face-up spell on field, being the Sanctuary or your opponent's field spell, but you don't have to pop it, so it's just a good way to get Foxy out of graveyard if necessary. Good cards to pitch for that Foxy effect would be this next one, Salamangreat Jaguar. If it attacks a defense position monster, it does piercing damage, and if we control a Salamangreat Link monster when this card's in our graveyard, we can target a Salamangreat monster in our graveyard, shuffle it into deck, and if we get to special summon this card to Link Point, which is quite strong, especially when used in conjunction with Salamangreat Sunlight Wolf, being able to then add a card back. It's really good for recycling our extra deck materials, being able to shuffle back any Salamangreat monster that's in our graveyard, including our links, which is really quite nice. Next, we're on one Salamangreat Spinny. If you control a Salamangreat monster, we can pitch it and then target a face-up monster on field and gains 500 attack till end of turn. That's typically not the best, however, it is a way to discard itself for free, which can trigger our Gazelle. However, since we're running Fire, we don't need to be running more than one Spinny. And if this card is in our graveyard and we control a Salamangreat monster other than itself, we get special summon from our graveyard, but banish it when it leaves the field. Of course, if we use it for an Xyz summon, then it won't banish itself, so do keep that in mind. This card is a really good target to send to the graveyard off of Gazelle if we do want an extra extender, because now this deck is just kind of fishing for cards that it wants to send to graveyard, depending on what is missing from hand. Next, we're on one copy of Salamangreat Weasel. If you control 2 or more Salamangreat monsters in your graveyard, you can special summon this card from your hand. If a Salamangreat Ritual, Synchro, Xyz, or Link monster is special summoned to your field while it's in your graveyard, we can put it to the bottom of our deck, target another Salamangreat in our graveyard, and then special summon to our opponent's field, and then if we do, we get to draw a card. We're typically not going to be using that second effect too frequently unless we want to just like give them something like a spinny in order to draw a card if we're really desperate, and then we're going to immediately get rid of that. But Weasel is here because it is a tuner that we can grab from deck off a card like Mirage Stalio in order to make a card that's in our extra deck. Next, we're on 1 Code of Soul. I would like to be playing more of this card, but we can't really be playing too many of the Code Talkers, so it's not as good as it could be. However, we are still playing 1 because it's a free extender. If we control a Link monster, we can special summon this card from our hand. During your main phase, you can activate this effect once per turn. If you Link summon a Salamangreat Link monster, you can use 1 Salamangreat Link monster you control with the same name as the entire material. During your opponent's main phase, quick effect, you can banish this card from your graveyard. Immediately after the effect resolves, you can Link summon a Link 3 or higher Cyberse Link monster. So it's like an IP Masquerena in the graveyard. It is like a field spell on the field, and it is a free extender in hand. This card is absolutely cracked, and I would love to play more of it. However, I am a little bit torn on what to be cutting from this list. Oh, I know, this card right here. So we actually are playing 2 Code of Soul. So we are playing 2 of that Code of Soul, actually. A little secret editing inside the video. Hee hee ha ha. And then for the last monster in our main deck, we are on 1 EMP Meow Mine. If a Link monster on the field or in either graveyard, you can special summon this card from your hand. You can special summon Meow Mine once per turn this way. If a Link 2 monster you control is sent to the graveyard or banished face up, we can banish this card from our graveyard if it was there when the monster was sent or banished, or hand. Even if not, target 1 card your opponent controls and bounce it to their hand. So this is a really cool card, and to pair with Sprite Sprind in order to just send that to the graveyard, because Sprind is a fire, so we can summon it under Salamangreat Fire. And this is just an extra point of interaction when any of our cards are either linked off or sent off because of our opponent's cards. It's just a cool little like backup interaction point there. Well, that's it for our main deck monsters that aren't hand traps. Now on to our spell traps that relate to Salamangreat specifically. We're on triple Cyanite Mining in order to find any of our Cybers, since everything in our main deck monster lineup is Cybers. We're on triple Salamangreat Circle, either allowing us to add a Salamangreat monster from deck to hand on a quick effect, or targeting a Salamangreat Link monster we control that was Link summoned using a monster with its same name, and it's unaffected by monster effects except its own this turn. So, really good modal effect. Most of the time we're going to be using that first effect just to search a card. However, that second effect being there, generally speaking, is just really nice. Being able to have that modal effect on it is really something. So we are on to Will of the Salamangreat. During our main phase, we can special summon 1 Salamangreat monster from our hand or graveyard. We can send this face-up card from the field to the graveyard, target 1 Link monster that was made using a monster with the same name as material. And then we can special summon, send the Will of Salamangreat to the graveyard. Then we can special summon Salamangrates with different names from our graveyard in defense position up to the number of, and up to the monster's Link rating, the one that we initially targeted. So if we target something like a Raging Phoenix made using a Raging Phoenix, we can summon 4 monsters from our graveyard that can be put in defense position. So, Will of the Salamangreat is really, really cracked for link climbing, especially given cards that were released to support fire monsters in the extra deck. We are on 1 Salamangreat Sanctuary because it's searchable with our Bailings, just allowing us to link summon using a Salamangreat Link monster using its whole material, so we can go Raging Phoenix into Raging Phoenix, ignoring the 2+ fire effect monsters on the requirement, which is really something. It also has an effect where we can gain life points, pay life points, and then lower the attack of a monster, which can pair well with Salamangreat of Fire. And then for our Salamangreat traps, we're on 1 Salamangreat Roar. It's just a counter trap if we control a Salamangreat Link monster. And then it can set itself from the graveyard if we Link summon a Salamangreat Link monster using its own name as material. Again, Raging Phoenix into Raging Phoenix, Sunlight Wolf into Sunlight Wolf, etc., etc. And then we are on 1 Salamangreat Rage. We can choose an effect. We can just send a Salamangreat from our hand or face-up field to the graveyard to pop a card on field, or we can target a Salamangreat Link monster that was Link summoned using a card with the same name. Again, Raging Phoenix into Raging Phoenix, Sunlight Wolf into Sunlight Wolf, in order to pop cards equal to the number of equal to the Link rating of the card. Sorry, I apologize for that little stumble there. But again, if we go Raging Phoenix, we can pop 4. If we go Sunlight Wolf, we can pop 2, etc., etc. Rage is really quite nice. However, Roar is typically the thing we're going to send just because it can set itself and it doesn't require us to Sunlight Wolf it back. But that's it for our main deck, like Salamangreat cards. The total main deck space for Salamangreat comes up to around 24. So that means we have about 16 non-engine spots. So about 13 of those are going to be hand traps, being triple Ash Blossom, double Droll, double Effect Veiler, and triple Ghost Ogre and Snow Rabbit for monster-based hand traps, and then triple Infinite Impermanence for trap-based ones. And then for anti-hand trap tools, we're playing 3 of them. We're playing 2 triple Tactics Talents and 1 Call to the Grave. For our extra deck, for our generic links, we are on 1 Heat of the Fire Charmer Ablaze, 1 Sprite Sprint, and 1 Promethean Princess. Just because it can bring back fires, it can bring itself back from the graveyard, and it works super well with the Salamangreats. I'm really, really happy with this inclusion in the deck. We are on 2 Balinks. On Summon, we can add a Sanctuary specifically from our deck to our hand, and then it's a branded opening in the graveyard. If a Salamangreat card would be destroyed by battle or card effect, we can banish it from our graveyard instead, so it doesn't start a chain, which is really something else. We're on 2 Salamangreat Sunlight Wolf. It needs 2 fire effect monsters. If a monster is no more special summon to a zone it points to, you can add a fire monster from your graveyard to your hand, but you can't activate its effect or normal special summon cards with the same name for the rest of the turn. And then during the main phase of control, this card that was link summoned using itself as material, you can add a Salamangreat spell or trap from your graveyard to your hand, and that's a hard once per turn for both. So that's how I was mentioning how we can get back that Rage if we dump it with Gazelle. We could also get back Roar if we didn't want it to banish itself, because if we do reset itself with its own effect, it will banish itself when it leaves the field. So if we wanted to really maintain that throughout the course of the game, we could do that. If we went over the course of the turn and we started with Circle, for example, we could reset that and make sure our Sunlight Wolf might be unaffected, or whatever else we'd like to make might be unaffected. So there are all possible use scenarios for that secondary effect of Sunlight Wolf. We're on 1 Salamangreat Heat Leo, needs 2+ fire effect monsters. If it's link summon, you can target a card your opponent's spell trap zone and shuffle it into deck. That's the only reason we're playing it. It's a Salamangreat that can shuffle a card back in the back row into the deck. It does have another effect in order to reduce the attack of a monster, or to increase an attack of a monster, depending on certain factors. However, we need 2 Heat Leo for that, and our extra deck is quite packed. We're on 2 Salamangreat Pyro Phoenix. If it's link summoned using itself as material, you get to basically just Raigeki and Feather Duster your opponent. You just destroy all cards they control. This is like the way you win the game. And if you can target 1 link monster to your opponent's graveyard, special summon to your opponent's field. And then if a link monster is special summoned to your opponent's field, except during the damage step, you can target one of those monsters and inflict damage to your opponent equal to that monster's original attack. Really good for finishing off the game in main phase 2. We are on a triple Salamangreat Raging Phoenix. This is like the main downside of the deck, is that you kind of need to play at least 2 to 3 of this card, just because it's so incredibly strong in archetype, but it is an expensive card right now. This card is not cheap because it is used in basically every fire deck, because it's just a good card. But in this deck, it needs 2+ fire effect monsters. If it's link summoned using itself as material, you can add a Salamangreat card from your deck to your hand. If a face-up fire effect If a face-up fire monster you control is destroy a valor card effect while this card's in your graveyard, you can target one of those monsters, special summon this card, and if you do, this card gains attack equal to that monster's attack. You can use each effect of Raging Phoenix once per turn. So being able to reborn itself just so we can use it as another copy of itself for another relink summon is really strong. Also being able to recur and then gain attack is really good for preventing OTKs against certain decks. Not saying Tempai, but against certain decks. So we are playing 3 of it just so we can always have access to it. And then we're on 1 copy of Mirage Stallia. It's the only XCs in the deck. It needs 2 level 3s. You can attach a material, special summon a Salamangreat monster from your deck. And then this one also has a pseudo fire lock where we can't activate monster effects for the rest of the turn except for fires. And this XC summon card you control sent to the graveyard on the field as a link material of a Salamangreat monster. You can target 1 card on the field and return it to the hand. So another really good way of getting rid of problematic boss monsters. And there you got rid of Colossus. Now we can also get rid of Colossus now that they're both legal. And then the last card of the deck, this is something that I actually pulled from Yassine, so shout out to him. This is Brotherhood of the Fire Fist Horse Prince. It needs a fire tuner and a non-tuner, so we're going to be using Weasel plus any level 3, being Spinny, Foxy, or Gazelle. And we can make this. When it's Synchro Summon, we can special summon one level 3 fire monster from our deck, and then after we Synchro Summon it, we can special summon level 5 or higher monsters for the rest of the turn. We don't have any 5 or higher level monsters in our entire deck, so this is the only leveled extra deck monster in our deck as well. So not a restriction, and it can also grab, let's say for example, we actually didn't go Gazelle in the start of the game, we actually went like Foxy into Spinny to go into Mirage Stallia, and then Spinny effect to bring itself back to go into Weasel, and then go Horse Prince. So then we can grab Gazelle out of deck and go like that in order to use that Gazelle effect. Or we can grab whatever we are missing. We can go grab Spinny, so we get an extra extender. We're going to still bring it back from graveyard since it was summoned off of something that wasn't its own effect. We can even grab stuff like Code of Soul from our deck. It's a good way to search it from our deck in order to get that field and graveyard effect. So do keep your mind open when thinking about horse prints, although I'm not sure if this is going to stay in future builds. But that's it for the main and extra. The side deck is going to be completely subjective, however I'm going to go over it real quick. We're on double Nibiru, one Duster, double Cosmic, triple Evenly, double Judgment for when we're going first, double Strike when we're going first, in which case we side out most of our hand traps like Droll and Veiler. And we are on triple Crossout because we do kind of still lose to Nibiru a little bit. But that is about it for the deck profile. Please tell me what your thoughts on the deck profile is in the description below. It isn't the most budget deck, however, if we do cut some cards, we cut the crossouts, you see it goes down to 270. If you want to cut one Raging Phoenix, 228, it's starting to come more and more budget. So there are certain cuts you can make. This is, I think, is the bare minimum for the extra deck. Maybe you can cut the Sprint if it's really pricey, but I do believe you need the Promethean Princess. The main deck itself actually isn't too expensive, not even going above 70, even though we have all these staples in here. So it is a little bit of a budget deck, but it's not as budget as other decks are. But again, thank you guys so much for watching the video, if you still are, and I'm going to be seeing you all later. Bye-bye! Thank you guys so much for watching the video. If you wanted to talk to more Yu-Gi-Oh! Players like yourself, I would highly recommend checking out our Discord server. Link is going to be in the description, as well as the QR code on screen. We do talk somewhat frequently about Yu-Gi-Oh! And the current meta, so I would really enjoy to see you there. As well as we do recently now have channel memberships available on our YouTube channel, where we have 3 different tiers. We have Super Supporter at $2 a month, where you get loyalty badges, emojis, guaranteed comment responses, a shout out at the end of every video, as well as access to the members only Discord channel, where you get early sneak peeks at future videos. There is the Giga Supporter at $5 a month, where you have early access to all new videos about a day or two before they go up, as well as all the previous offers. And for $15 a month, we do have our final tier, which is going to be Femboy Fanatic. You get a guaranteed customized video every single month, as well as 1 hour of my time. Could be for anything you'd like. You want a duel? Absolutely. You want me to help build a deck? Absolutely. You want to play some Helldivers? Sure. I'll do anything for an hour once a month. But supporting does help me out quite a lot, and it does help me produce all of these videos. So thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll be seeing y'all later. Bye-bye.